Hey guys, Adam Lavelle of KnuckleTFUp.com. That's KnuckleTFUp.com. My favorite sport in the world, bar none, is bare knuckle fighting, bare knuckle boxing. It's just, I don't know, nothing is better than that. That's just how I feel. But there are two gloved promotions where they actually wear gloves, the 16-ounce MMA gloves, that I do enjoy. And I'm going to give them props. There's not many glove promotions that I'm into. But one of them is Dirty Boxing. Now, granted, they've only had 2 events, so let's see how that goes. And the other is Karate Combat. I discovered Karate Combat before I discovered bare knuckle boxing. So I'm not going to walk away from Karate Combat. I've been watching it. Like I said, I've been a casual fan, but I'm going to try to start watching it more regularly now, especially since I've walked away from silly, embarrassing professional wrestling. So I already put up my review of Karate Combat 55. And now here I'm going to discuss, rate and review Karate Combat 56. So let's jump into it. Those of you new, welcome. Please subscribe to the channel. I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you for the few of you who have done so. God bless you. I'm going to talk about this no matter how many subscribers I have, because it's just a passion of mine and I love sharing my passion. And if you're out there watching, I appreciate it. And if only the few who subscribe are, I still love it enough that I'm going to keep going with this because it's just something that is near and dear to my heart. But let's jump into it because, again, I don't dilly-dally around. If there's one thing you need to know about me is that I'm not going to sit here and talk about what I had for breakfast or what me and my wife did this past weekend. I'm going to talk about the fights. Speaking of, Karate Combat 56 kicked off with a fight that I didn't get to see. It was, all I know, it was a gentleman named Montalavan versus Ganeo. That was her last name, of course. Now, it was a bantamweight fight. Now, the reason I didn't get to see it is that YouTube ate it like a bowl of Cheerios. I mean, it was just skipping and pausing. It was so bad. I watched their entrance. I watched them climb down into the pit, and it just skipped to the next fight. So I guess that's what we'll do. I don't know what happened in this fight. Maybe they fixed it, and I can go back and watch it, but I'm not going to. I might, but I'm not doing it for the review. I'm doing these reviews as I had watched them live. Okay? That's how I'm going to review it. And if they fix this so that this fight now plays, awesome. I'll check it out. But right now, it didn't work. And I was sorely disappointed. The next fight, not a whole lot better. Okay? It was a 3-rounder, of course, which is all Karate Combat bouts are, except for title fights, which are 5. This 3-rounder skipped around horribly for the first 2 rounds. I got to see bits and pieces of it, but not much. I could tell that it was a great fight. And I'm talking, this fight was between Alexander Krutsky and Shakruk Kumurafov. Yes, I have it written down on my notes, sounded out, so I could try to say their names right. Alexander, got that down. Alexander, the Russian. Krutsky, not too bad, right? Taking on Shakruk Kumurafov. That's a tough one. Even sounded out. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 little spaces that I have to sound that guy's name out. Forgive me, guys. I'm working on it. I'm working on it so much. I went to AI and asked that AI to tell me how to pronounce these names. But let me tell you something. Alexander and Shakruk. Let's go with that. Alexander versus Shakruk was a terrific fight. I could tell that even though it skipped around a lot the first 2 rounds. The 3rd round was beautiful. You could tell they had slowed a little bit. I'm not saying they were gassed, but they definitely weren't going as hard as they did the first rounds. Bas Rutten and his crew, sorry, I'll learn you guys' names then, pointed that out. But it was still very good. So good that it was a split decision. Now, split decisions here in Karate Combat go to a 4th and deciding round. What does that mean? That means that the first 3 rounds no longer count, and both fighters are judged by that 4th round only. And let me tell you what, Alexander won that 4th round in the fight, and it's lucky for him that he did. Now, I sat here and said it was a great fight, and it was, but he was down 2 rounds to 1. And if they would have voted as a split decision, Alexander would not have won this. Shakruk would have. But they went to another round because it was pretty even though it could have been a split decision. That's not how it works. And went to a 4th round, which Alexander Krutsky won. And looking good doing so. He just advanced a little bit more than Shakruk did. and won this fight. This was one of the best fights of the night by far. I'm not calling it the fight of the night, but it was up there. It was very enjoyable. I think it would be even better if I could have seen the first 2 rounds unencumbered by YouTube and whatever nonsense they were doing with it. It was just bad, these first 2 fights with it. It did settle down after this. First fight I didn't get to see. Second fight was one of the best fights of the night with a big win for Alexander Krutski. I want to see how far he goes. I can't wait to see Shakruk either because he looked great going down the feet here. Both these guys are future stars for this company. After the fight, Alexander Krutski proposed to his girlfriend, called her up there on the side of the pit with him, got down on one knee, pulled out a nice ring, and she was shocked. He said, "Will you marry me?" And she actually said, "F yeah." I try not to curse as much if I don't have to, says the guy whose website is knuckletfup.com. But it was cute. It was pretty cool to see her accept, especially, and she seemed legitimately shocked. So, 2 big wins for Alexander Krutski on Karate Combat 56. Congratulations to the newlyweds. Next up, we had a bare knuckle fighter here, Jared Grant, former bantamweight. Bare Knuckle Boxing, the other company right there's their logo. So he's a legit fighter, that's for sure. He took on Ryan Coos. Now, here's the problem. Now, you're going to say, oh, Adam, you're making excuses for your bare knuckle guys. Maybe. But look, you get boxers in this pit, they really are kind of lost. They're in a pit. There's no ring ropes. It's a great big pit. It's much bigger than the average boxing ring, and definitely bigger than a bare boxing ring, and definitely bigger than the mighty trifecta. If you don't know what that is, it's the smallest space that fighters in any combat sport will ever fight in, and that is the ring, the mighty trifecta that they use in bare knuckle boxing. And I think that led to Grant getting his head kicked off within not long, just over a minute in the first round by Ryan Coos, and that's taking nothing away from Coos. He looked amazing here. He said after the fight that he felt that Grant was trying to force him to go right. I'm assuming to get to box a little bit. I don't even think Grant threw one kick in this short fight. I don't think he blocked. He was looking to box, I think. I really believe that, and I think he was a little out of place in that pit. Not that he couldn't learn to do it and do much better. Of course he could, but in this fight, he seemed a little lost, and Coos just kicked the shit out of him. I mean, just wham, side of the head. You heard it crack. One of the commentators said, I think I heard a skull crack. It was bad, but congratulations to Coos for a big win, and here's hoping Grant, if he's going to fight in Karate Combat, learns that pit a little bit better. It was pretty gruesome here. Then we had the next fight, which was Daniel Lacerda taking on Anver Buynazarov. Boy, you Russian guys, which I think that's what this is, are one of the states that spun off of Russia during their breakup around 89 or so. Man, you make it hard for a commentator like me. I mean, Daniel Lacerda taking on Anver Buynazarov. It was another short fight, but it was exciting as hell. Both of these guys went hard for 2 minutes and 57 seconds, almost an entire first round, until Lacerda knocked Buynazarov down and out. Lacerda was hitting spin kicks, spinning back fists, strong jabs like the one that got him the victory here over a very experienced and incredibly tough Buynazarov. It's a great fight here. Big win by Lacerda over very experienced Buynazarov. Like I said, I really enjoyed this one. They almost made it out of the first round, but no, we had another knockout within the first round. But I love those kind of fights. I love when a fighter asserts his dominance, and we saw that here. I think Lacerda is absolutely a main player in Karate Combat, and we're going to see even bigger things from him, for sure. The next fight was Alex Oliveira, and this young man did all that he could against Ilyas Kamazin, but it wasn't anywhere close enough. The badass Russian Ilyas Kamazin knocked Oliveira down and pounded him out on the ground very early in this fight, where the ref just had to step in and give Oliveira some mercy, giving Kamazin the huge victory. Afterwards, Kamazin, who's a very exciting fighter, he says he wants the title, that he's new blood, new blood, new blood. He shouts that numerous times into the microphone, and then does the Stone Cold Steve Austin, oh hell yeah, gets the 2 beer cans, I think they were energy drinks, knocks them together and downs them, pours them down his pours them down his throat as he celebrates his really quick victory. Kamazine is no joke, brother. Let me tell you, taking nothing away from Oliveira. Like I said, he did all he could. He did. He came forward, he fought, he worked hard, but he went down hard to the badass Russian Ilyas Kamazine here. Look out for this guy. That's for sure. Okay. Next up, look, I'm just going to say it flat out. Luan Santiago pretty much humiliated Jack Jusolo. That's just how I saw it. Luan Santiago danced around a lot, played with the crowd, actually posed in the Karate Kid crane kick. I mean, he didn't use it. I was waiting for him to try to use it, but he posed in the crane kick and even did a little bit of the drunken master where he's literally almost falling over himself in fight poses. I mean, that's how little challenge Santiago got out of Jusolo. I felt bad for Jusolo here. I really did. And Santiago hit a ton of lower calf kicks. And I know sometimes they're boring. I know some guys, especially inexperienced fight fans, watch this and think, the dude's just kicking this guy in the leg over and over. Well, there's a reason for that. You get your forward leg hurt, you get it injured, and there goes your offense. What the hell are you going to do? He kicked him in the leg at least 10 times and won the fight by decision. I mean, the only credit you can give Jusolo is he had a decent chin, I guess. He stayed with it the whole time, and he didn't fight badly, but it was clear that these guys were not on the same level. Santiago, like I said, I feel pretty much embarrasses Jusolo here and gets the unanimous decision victory after 3 rounds. I'll never forget that crane kick pose. That's just something you don't see too often in a professional fight situation. Next up was an incredible fight. One of the toughest fighters I've ever seen lost by unanimous decision here. Yeah, that's right. One of the toughest fighters I've ever seen, Buddy Wallace. Now, Lorenz Larkin was your winner here, so I don't want to not praise this guy. He was great. He won unanimously. There was no doubt who won this. But there is no doubt that Buddy Wallace is one of the toughest son of a bitches I've ever seen because he took a beating and kept coming forward. Now, he got his licks in too. Please don't think I'm saying Buddy Wallace didn't fight feverishly, that he didn't get any offense, and he absolutely did. Larkin was clearly better, but Wallace stood a chance all 3 rounds because he just didn't stop. They went the distance, but both were constantly fighting. Fists, kicks, elbows, you name it. Both were throwing it. Larkin outperformed Wallace in strikes and his landed strikes, but Wallace proved you need a hammer to do damage to him. If you're coming in there with just strikes and kicks, good luck. I mean, you can beat him by points, as Larkin did here, but let me tell you, I could even argue that Wallace won the first round. Okay, I'm far from a professional judge, so what the hell do I know? But I thought he surprised Larkin so much that Larkin almost fought defensively more than he did aggressively. And I would have given the first round to Wallace. He still would have lost, or it would have went to a 4th round. But I'm telling you, Wallace is a badass. Congrats to Lorenz Larkin. Very good. Deserved the win. I'm not saying he didn't. But Wallace has a new fan in me from that performance. You have to check it out just for his performance. Unreal. And we're already up to the ladies' fight. Now, let me tell you this. This was for the flyweight title, the women's flyweight championship. Aline Pereira, with the famous brother, took on Fanny Palumpia. And, guys, I hate saying this. Both are great fighters. They are. Both are conditioned. Both are strong as hell. Both are experienced. I mean, especially Fanny. Much more experienced than Pereira. But this was the most boring fight of the night. I'm telling you, it practically put me to sleep. I kept waiting for it to get more exciting. This is a championship bout, so it's 5 rounds. So, understandably, I can see the first 2 or even 3 rounds being strategic, being measured, being, something that the fighter is trying to figure the other fighter out. 2 or 3 rounds I can give them. 3-minute rounds, 9 minutes out of 15 being strategic. But all 5 of these rounds were exactly the same. Measured, slow, tentative. Pereira wins and retains her title because she was a little more aggressive. She came forward more than Fanny did, for sure. But that isn't saying Fanny retreated all fight long, because she didn't. But I really don't care, and I hate saying that because it's not like I dislike women fighters. But this was a letdown. It was a snooze fest. It really was. Pereira retains her title. I can't believe we're at the last fight already. We're at the main event for the lightweight championship, as it was the interim lightweight champion taking on the lightweight champion. I'm talking about Shazib Riend, the interim lightweight champion, taking on Luis Rocha, both guys are tremendous fighters. Riend, R-I-N-D, is the taller fighter. And Rocha, I think he looks stronger, broader, stronger, but he's the shorter fighter. And I've said this time and again, that in these style of fights, the shorter fighter has to have the talent and ability to come in and up on the taller fighter. And the taller fighter's game here is to stay back, keep the distance, and pick the shorter fighter off as he tries to come in, right? That's just the strategy of every tall, short fighter fight in the world. That's just how it is. And whoever does their job best wins the fight. And Riend here, he picked Rocha off. Not just with his fists and kicks. Rocha would come in under and try to get a big jab or an uppercut or something, and Riend would catch it, and not only catch it and stop it, but throw Rocha, to the ground and get some ground and pound in. Because in karate combat, you can go to the ground as long as you keep one knee off of the canvas. If one knee's down, the other knee's up, that they can keep pounding them, at least for a certain amount of time until the ref will stand them up. If the guy being pounded gets a full guard, meaning like his legs and his arms wrapped around his opponent, that will cause the referee to stand him up. But there was a few times here where the ref kept allowing Riend to pound Rocha, even when Rocha had pretty much the full guard in. I feel like it should have been stood up a couple times. I'm not saying there was any cheating or underhandedness or anything like that, but sometimes the ref's judgment call was a little iffy to me. But I thought this was going to go the distance, but in the fourth round, once again, Rocha was taking down. He came into Riend, tried to go up and under, tried to do what the shorter fighter has to do, got caught for a fourth or fifth time, got thrown to the ground, and got hammer fists and standing jabs and all kinds of power raining down on him. He rolled away. You've got to continually face your opponent or make an effort to get up. And when he rolled away and wasn't fighting back too much, the ref stepped in and stopped it, giving the undisputed lightweight championship to Shazib Riend in a terrific 4-round fight between two guys full of heart and guts. But Riend just had a little bit more here and wins the now unified and undisputed lightweight championship to end Karate Combat 56 on a very positive note. Really enjoyed this show. I really did. This is 2 in a row from Karate Combat. They don't ever really put on a bad show, but these last 2 were terrific. The 2 shows where I've decided to hop on full bore, nonstop, watching all their shows. What a great time to decide to do that, because 55 was awesome and 56 was awesome. What did I give 55? I think I might have gave it a 10. It was an excellent show. This show, Karate Combat 56, I'm going to knock it down to an 8.5. For the technical difficulties, the very beginning of the show was a mess. The first 2 to 3 fights were messed up. It might have been YouTube's fault. I don't know. But you can't do that. You got to figure a way to figure it out, guys, and keep that from happening. You just do. I'm no technical whiz, but I'm just saying, if you're a professional league, you have to figure out how to present your shows the first time around in high quality. Typically you do. What happened here? I don't know. But it also did happen on 55, so something's up. The second reason I'm knocking down to an 8.5, knocking it down, 8.5 is a terrific score, but the reason this show isn't a 10 to me or a 9 is that women's fight. That women's title fight was just a snooze fest. The women were good, tactical, skilled, talented, respect the hell out of them, but that fight was way too slow and way too boring. It just was, especially for the semi-main event. I mean, come on. We got to do better than that, ladies. You got to come forward. You got to fight to win, not fight not to lose. If I want to see fights where people are fighting not to lose, I'll watch UFC. And I don't want to watch UFC. That's why I don't watch UFC. I want to see fighters that fight to win and work aggressively. But an 8.5 out of 10 is still a terrific show. Would have been 10 out of 10 again without those 2 issues, the technical difficulties and that boring ladies fight. So I can't see anything negative else about it. This is a positive score. 8.5 out of 10 is very positive. I'm a big fan. I'm on board for the remaining shows every time, whole shows. I'm a full-fledged, no longer a casual Karate Combat fan. You've got me, along with my bare knuckle companies, and that's a compliment. And just to shout one last thing out, Bas Rutten mentioned bare knuckle fighting. Love Bas Rutten. He's one of my favorites, probably one of my top 10, maybe even top 5 or 6. Really is. Loved his fights. Loved him, the TV show he did with Kevin James and stuff. He's a great guy. But he mentioned something about, there really isn't that much difference. I can't do his accent. Isn't really that much difference between bare knuckle and gloved fighting. It's just a little bit more damage to the face. He said something like that. Maybe, but if Karate Combat would go bare knuckle, and they're not going to, and I'm not really asking, I'm just making a point here. If they did, I think it would be even more exciting than it is. They're not going to, and that's perfectly fine. I just think bare knuckle makes it more dangerous, makes it more interesting, makes it more bloody, makes it more desirable, in my opinion. But I'm on board, Karate Combat. You've got me. From now on, I'm a big fan. You guys, Dirty Boxing, and all the bare knuckle fight leagues in the world. Clan FC, Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship, Bare Knuckle Boxing, Top Dog, you got me. But Karate Combat, you're in there with them. Great job, grabbed my attention, and you're holding it. And that's hard to do, honestly, because I'm a picky son of a bitch. And this picky son of a bitch will be back to talk about more fighting before you know it.